But Restoration family, will you please give a very warm welcome to Rodney Richardson?
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Now, y'all heard what Ron said, right? If you want to be a part of this church plant, you have my permission. So my wife and I will be in the back with a sign-up sheet for all of you who feel the tugging of the Lord, to join Place of Victory. I know you're laughing, but I'm very serious. My wife and I hosted a barbecue at our place a few weeks ago as part of our launch team summer events. We invited our team members, we invited co-workers, we even invited people that we had just met at the local coffee shop. When people gathered at this barbecue, man, they were talking, they were having a great time, even though many of them had just met for the first time. And I thought that was, as the host, that's what you want. When you invite people over, you want to make sure people are having a great time. So I'm watching, and I'm like, how you doing? Hey, how you, is the food okay? And then my coworker shows up. And I can tell immediately that she's uncomfortable. And I'm watching her because she's a very open, outgoing person, but she's to herself. And she's very reserved. And so I go up to her and I said, are you okay? She was like, oh, don't worry about me. I'll jump right in. Don't worry about me. I'll jump in. So I said, cool, go. But she didn't until the young lady from the coffee shop showed up. Immediately, my coworker goes to her. She introduces herself. They spend the majority of the barbecue in the house talking to one another. And they exchange phone numbers. They even make plans to grab coffee the following week. And so I'm watching this and I'm like, man, this is interesting. I said, I get it, but I just thought it was very interesting that out of the 30 plus people that were there, it was only this one person that she felt comfortable talking to. And so I immediately understood one thing. She was uncomfortable. She was uncomfortable meeting others at the barbecue, and she made no attempt to do that other than this particular young lady. Now, again, I get it. I've been there. I've done that. I've walked into a room, and I automatically scan the room. He's black. She's black. They look educated. They look like okay, so I go there. I get it. We all have that tendency to gravitate to the one that looks like us or the one that we think may have something in common with us, be it skin color, be it profession. It doesn't matter just how tall, short. I like to talk to the tall people because I don't want to look down at people because they tend to feel like, why are you looking down at me? So I tend to talk to people that are my height. That's just the way it is. So depending on where I go, I don't have a lot of conversation because I'm normally the tallest person in the room. But this tendency actually transcends every spectrum of life. And guess what? It even happens in the church. The Barna Research Group did a study that showed that 28% of people of non-color find it difficult to establish relationships in a multiracial church. Given this statistic, church leaders might wonder, if diversity is not enough, what will it take to move beyond statistical diversity to flourishing community? Now, I believe the Bible has the answer because we are in church last time I checked. And so I believe, for me, the Bible has the answer to almost everything. How many of you would agree with that? How many of you wouldn't agree with that? I didn't expect anybody to raise their hand. In 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verses 19 through 23 of the Passion Translation, it reads like this. Now, I'm going to read it slow because the Passion Translation really fleshes this out. Now, even though I am free from obligations to others, I joyfully make myself a servant to all in order to win as many converts as possible. I became Jewish to the Jewish people in order to win them to the Messiah. I became like one under the law to gain the people who were stuck under the law, even though I myself am not under the law. And to those who are without the Jewish laws, I became like them, as one without the Jewish laws in order to win them. Although I'm not outside the law of God, but under the law of Christ. I became weak to the weak to win the weak. I have adapted to the culture of every place I have gone so that I could more easily win people to Christ. I've done all of this so that I would become God's partner for the sake of the gospel. Paul says a lot right here in these verses. But I noticed something he did not say. This is hard. This is tough meeting people that aren't like me. I don't know how I'm going to do it, God. I know you called me, but I don't know how I'm going to reach people that aren't like me. God, it's so tough. They don't look like me. They don't think like me. They have nothing in common with me. So, God, how can I reach those that are not like me? I don't hear Paul saying that at all. What I do hear Paul saying is this. I hear Paul finding a way to do the gospel. I get it, guys. I get it. Trust me, I get it. It is tough. It is uncomfortable. And guess what? It touches all of us. There's not a person in this room that has entered a room and not felt uncomfortable. Can I get a show of hands? All right, y'all. I get it. It's tough. And I know it personally because I've experienced it. When I first met Ron, it was on a road trip to Fort Collins. I'm new to Colorado. I know Brady, and if those of you who know Brady, you know Brady. And Brady's like, you gotta meet my pastor. You gotta meet Ron. You gotta meet this guy. So I'm like, cool, okay, Brady, we'll meet him. So we're on this road trip to Fort Collins. And we're talking, having a great time. We get back here, and Ron asks me, he says, so what can I do to help? When he makes that statement, I recoiled in my mind. And I recoiled because, and I try not to get emotional, I recoiled because most of my life I had been taught not to trust white people. And I decided at that moment that I got to push through this. Because had I not pushed through this discomfort, I would have missed out on what is truly becoming an amazing relationship. Ron and I, we talk frequently. We don't talk every day, but we talk frequently. Not just about racial issues, but about kingdom issues. See, I stand before you today not just as a black man talking about racial discomfort in the church. I actually stand before you as a man of God talking about how the kingdom has changed my life to become uncomfortable to do the gospel. You and I, overcoming my discomfort that day, produced what I like to call a kingdom moment. And many people are waiting on you and I to be willing to become uncomfortable so that they too can experience a kingdom moment in their lives. Now, my journey began with a car ride to Fort Collins. Okay, and yours can begin over coffee, over a barbecue, I don't know, it can be anywhere, but the where is not important. What is important is that we become willing to become uncomfortable in order to do the gospel. What is important is that we become willing to be uncomfortable, and yes, I am repeating myself, be willing to become uncomfortable for the sake of the gospel in order for us to do the gospel. Thank you.